A similarity between the Sepoy Rebellion in India and the Boxer Rebellion in China is that both were 1. Attempts to remove foreign influence, 2. Movements to establish communist governments, 3. Efforts to restore trade monopolies, and 4. Struggles to westernize cultures. As we all know, the Sepoy Rebellion and the Boxer Rebellion were both efforts to remove foreign influences that the foreigners had upon the people and to remove foreigners from the land. So the obvious answer would be 1. Attempt to remove foreign influence. Since none of the rebellions had to do anything with establishing communist governments nor restoring trade monopolies and westernizing cultures, those choices are wrong, and therefore 1 is correct for 24. Moving on. Number 35. Which document is most closely associated with the Arab-Israeli conflict? 1. Balfour Declaration, 2. Kyoto Protocol, 3. Communist Manifesto, and 4. Treaty of Nanjing. If you learned about the Arab-Israeli conflict, you know that the Balfour Declaration was a letter from Arthur Balfour, who was a part of Great Britain, and he said that they were willing to help the Israelis. So number 1 is correct, and 2, 3, and 4 are wrong because the Communist Manifesto had to do with Karl Marx, and he has nothing to do with the conflict. And the Kyoto Protocol and Treaty of Nanjing have to do nothing with the Arab-Israeli conflict. So therefore, number 35 is 1. Balfour Declaration. Number 49. Romans destroyed the temple in Jerusalem. British officials partition India. Hutus and Tutsis fight in Rwandan Civil War. One way in which these events are similar is that each resulted in 1. is the establishment of uniform legal codes, 2. the immigration of people from their homelands, 3. intervention of coalition military forces, and 4. acceptance of new political boundaries. Personally, I know that when India partitioned, a lot of people moved from their homelands to another area. And if you learned about Romans destroying the temple in Jerusalem, you all also know that the people living in Jerusalem also left the land that they were originally from, so their homelands. And so the correct answer would be 2, immigration of people from their homelands. And since none of them have to do with 1, 3, and 4 would be wrong because they don't have to do anything with legal codes, military forces, nor political boundaries. So therefore, 49 is number 2, immigration of people from their homelands. Number 35. One reason the Chinese communists were able to gain control of China was primarily due to the support of the 1. peasants, 2. landed elite, 3. foreigners, and 4. warlords. Number 30. Okay, so if you know about communism, it's about being equal and having everything similar. So if you were to think about it, even if you don't know anything about China or Chinese communists, you can eliminate choices 3, 4, and 2 right away, because you know that people who want equality aren't foreigners or warlords, because they already have a lot of money, and also the landed elite. So therefore, the correct answer for 35 would be 1. peasants. Okay, 25. What was the major cause of the French Revolution? 1. inequalities in tax structure, 2. economical success of mercantilism, 3. failure of the Congress of Vienna, and 4. continental system in Europe. Okay, so let's go over our choices. 1 would make sense, so we can think about that, and 2 would be wrong because mercantilism is like when there's a mother country and then the mother country establishes colonies in a different area, and then they work for each other. Like the colonies work for the motherland, in like Great Britain and the 13 colonies. So that would be out of the question. And the failure of the Congress of Vienna had nothing to do with being a cause of the French Revolution. And number 4 had nothing to do with that. So the correct answer is 1, inequalities of the tax structure. Let's move on now. Number 31. Many historians believe that the harsh terms found in the Treaty of Versailles helped lead to 1. Italy's unification, 2. Turkey's modernization, 3. Revolutions in Russia, and 4. World War II. So, as we all know, the Treaty of Versailles was a treaty against Germany in a way, and so that was what triggered the World War II to occur, and Hitler to become in control of Germany. So the correct answer would be 4, because the Treaty of Versailles had nothing to do with Turkey's modernization, Italy's unification, and neither revolutions in Russia. Number 45. The Armenian massacre, the killing fields of the Kirvanj, and Saddam Hussein's attacks against the Kurds are examples of 1. Apartheid, 2. Enslavement, 3. Human rights violations, and 4. Forced collectivization. Okay, apartheid is segregation of people, so that would not have to do anything with that. And 2 is, if you think about slave, that means like slavery, so that has nothing to do with that. 3 could be a possible answer because it's talking about all 3 examples they all violated human rights. And number 4 doesn't have to do with what happened during the Armenian massacre nor the attacks against the Kurds and the killing fields. So the correct answer would be 3, human rights violations. Number 24, appointment of Otto von Bismarck as Chancellor, and Austro-Prussian War 1866, Franco-Prussian War 1870 through 1871. These events led directly to 1. The unification of Germany, 2. Foreign rule in Italy, 3. The rebellion of the sepoys, and 4. An alliance between Serbs and Russians. Okay, we can all state that this had nothing to do with the foreign rule in Italy, nor the rebellion of the sepoys, because that was about India. And an alliance between Serbs and Russians had nothing to do with the appointment of Otto von Bismarck as Chancellor, and it has to do, and the only choice left is the unification of Germany, and it makes sense because Germany was involved with everything. So for 24, the correct answer is 1. The unification of Germany. 25. The mass immigration of the Irish in the mid-19th century was primarily a result of 1. Mandatory military service, 2. Famine, 3. Civil War, and 4. Farm mechanization. Okay, so if you think about the Irish famine that happened, it was because there was a loss of potatoes and food and supplies that the Irish didn't get, and so the correct answer would be 2. Famine, and there was the immigration had nothing to do with Civil War or farm mechanization or mandatory military service, so the correct answer would be 25. For 25 would be 2. Famine. Okay, 27. The Sepoy Rebellion to India was as the Boxer Rebellion was to 1. Russia, 2. China, 3. Japan, 4. Italy. Okay, so if you know about the Sepoy Rebellion, that was to India, and the Boxer Rebellion, if you study about it, it was to China. So the correct answer would be 2. China. Okay, number 32. It's not that clear to read, but I'll say it out. Which of these World War II events happened first? 1. Battle of Britain, 2. D-Day invasion, 3. Invasion of Poland, and 4. Dropping of an atomic bomb on Hiroshima. So if you go back and think about World War II, you know that automatically Germany invaded Poland first, and then the Battle of Britain, D-Day invasion, and the dropping of an atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki happened afterwards. So the correct answer would be 3. Invasion of Poland. Okay, let's keep on going. Okay. Number 28. So this is a political cartoon. So number 28 is the idea expressed in this cartoon is most closely associated with 1. Alliance formed in Europe, 2. Division of Africa discussed at the Berlin Conference. 3. Spheres of influence established in China by foreigners. And 4. Border changes made at the Congress of Vienna. Okay, so if you think about it, it says the real boxers at the bottom of the political cartoon. And if you think about the Boxer Rebellion, that happened in China. So immediately you can think of spheres of influence or China and foreigners trying to put their influence upon the people. And so alliance formed in Europe, that had nothing to do with that. And division of Africa discussed at the Berlin Conference had nothing to do with that also. And the border changes made at the Congress of Vienna had nothing to do with that either. So the correct answer would be, for 28, would be 3. Spheres of influence established in China by foreigners. Which statement regarding World War I is an opinion rather than a fact? 1. European countries increased production of weapons during the war. 2. The governments of most countries stated that the period of conflict would be short. 3. Propaganda posters were used to gain support for the war. And 4. Citizens of the Allied nations showed more patriotism than those of the Central Powers. Okay, so if you think about it, let's go through this. So which one is an opinion rather than a fact? So number 1, European countries increased the production of weapons during the war. That can be proven, so that makes it a fact. 2, so number 1 is out. So number 2, the governments of most countries stated that the period of conflict would be short. That was a fact because a lot of people said that. And then number 3, propaganda posters were used to gain support for the war. If you think about it, propaganda posters are still used to gain support. And even till now and back then, it was a big deal, especially during the wartime. And so 1, 2, and 3 are out. So automatically we can say it's number 4. Citizens of the Allied nations showed more patriotism than those of the Central Powers. So that's an opinion because you can't prove that they had more patriotism than those of the Central Powers. So therefore, the correct answer for 29 is 4. Citizens of the Allied nations showed more patriotism than those of the Central Powers. Number 38, F.W. de Klerk and Nelson Mandela received the Nobel Peace Prize for their work to end the 1. Foreign control of the diamond mines, 2. Discriminatory policy of apartheid, 3. Anarchy in Somalia, and 4. Boer War. So if you learned about Nelson Mandela, he was involved with apartheid, and so the apartheid was the segregation of whites and blacks in South Africa, which resulted in a lot of discrimination. So we can right away eliminate 1, 3, and 4 because they had nothing to do with discriminating. And so the obvious answer would be 2. Discriminatory policy of apartheid. So number 38 is 2. 23. Maximilian Robespierre and the Jacobins were best known for 1. Instituting the Rage of Terror, 2. Protecting freedom of religion, and 3. Supporting the Rage of King Louis XVI, I don't know, the 16th. 4. Sending French troops to fight the American Revolution. So if you learned about Robespierre and the French Revolution, you know that he's the one who made the guillotine. He inspired it. And so the correct answer would be 1. Instituting the Rage of Terrors, and 2, 3, and 4 are wrong. Okay, number 38. So this is a political cartoon again, saying Cambodia, never again, Rwanda, never again, Bosnia, never again, Darfur, never again, and then there's the UN stating, never again, this body will stop genocide with a very ambitious press release. So number 38. What is the key idea of this cartoon? 1. Genocide in Cambodia, Rwanda, Bosnia, and Darfur has been stopped. 2. Human rights issues are best dealt with the United Nations. 3. The United Nations has not been effective in ending genocide. And 4. Fear of war crimes trials have brought peace to troubled regions. Okay, so looking at the cartoon, you can obviously right away eliminate choice 1 because none of these genocides have been stopped, and the UN has said that it'll never happen again, but yet it's still continuing. So that's obviously wrong. So number 2, human rights issues are best dealt with by the United Nations. So looking at this picture, you can state that they did nothing to stop this genocide. They just keep letting the numbers increase until it gets to higher potential, and then they see that there's a crisis happening. Number 3, the United Nations has not been effective ending genocide. That is true because if you look at the pictures, Cambodia, Rwanda, Bosnia, and Darfur, they've been through so many genocides that the UN has done nothing about it. For fear of war crimes, trials have brought peace to troubled regions. That is not true because there is no peace for Cambodia, Rwanda, Bosnia, or Darfur. So therefore, the correct answer is 3. The United Nations has not been effective in ending genocide. Okay, let's move on. Next question, number 33. Which sequence of events is in the correct chronological order? 1, rise of Nazism goes to Treaty of Versailles, to the German invasion of the Soviet Union. 2, Treaty of Versailles, rise of Nazism to the German invasion of the Soviet Union. And 3 is German invasion of the Soviet Union, rise of Nazism, and to the Treaty of Versailles. And then 4, Treaty of Versailles to German invasion of the Soviet Union to the rise of Nazism. So if you remember about World War II and everything, you know that the Treaty of Versailles came first, then the rise of Nazism came, and then Hitler came into power also, and then the Germans decided to invade the Soviet Union, which was unsuccessful because of the climate. So you right away can eliminate 1, 3, and 4, and the obvious answer would be 2, from the Treaty of Versailles to the rise of Nazism to the German invasion of the Soviet Union. Okay, number 41. During the Cold War, which event occurred last? 1, Cuban missile crisis. 2, destruction of the Berlin Wall. 3, Berlin airlift. And 4, launch of Sputnik by the Soviet Union. Okay, if you think about the Cold War, it was Russia was a part of it. So the Cuban Missile Crisis came later, and the Berlin airlift came before the Cold War ended, and then way before. And the launch of Sputnik by the Soviet Union, I believe that didn't have to do anything with that. And so the obvious answer would be 2, destruction of the Berlin Wall, because if you learned about it, the Berlin Wall was put up and then broken down by the people that were separated. So after the Cold War, so the correct answer would be 2, destruction of the Berlin Wall. Number 29. The immediate cause of World War I was the 1, assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. 2, Japanese alliance with Germany. 3, treaty agreement at Versailles. And 4, German invasion of Poland. So if you think about World War I, none of these choices 2, 3, and 4 came after World War I, and 4 was a part of World War II, so that doesn't make sense. The choice 3 came after World War I, and that's what triggered World War II. So that has nothing to do with World War being a cause of World War I. And then the Japanese alliance with Germany happened during World War II, so that's ultimately eliminated. So choices 2, 3, and 4 are eliminated, leaving choice 1, assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. His death caused World War I to arise. So the correct answer is 1. 40. A Jewish state is created. 6-day war results in major Arab losses. Withdrawal begins from West Bank. Which situation is referred to in these headlines? 1, Persian Gulf War. 2, scramble for Africa. 3, conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. And 4, collapse of the Ottoman Empire. So the Persian Gulf War had nothing to do with Jewish state being created, or the Six-Day War, or the West Bank. So that's immediately out, and also the scramble for Africa and the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. So therefore, the only answer, and if you know about the Six-Day War and the Jewish state being created and the West Bank, you know that it was all it all happened within because of a conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. So the obvious answer for 40 would be 3, conflict between Israelis and Palestinians.